I come to understand Koroneburg as a cheerful place.
Please come join me.
In that moment, I let go of who I thought I was and became the person I wanted to be.
I feel like there's a lot of history and a lot of stories here that no one would know about if we didn't tell these stories.
Take it away, James and Paul.
I am curious, what led you both to collaborate on this project?
We worked together on a show. That's kind of where we met. But I think both of our creative energies are pretty in sync. It's very fun to have a host who you can just sort of like bounce ideas off of and live and be able to pick it up. And that was kind of a rapport that Janey and I grew very early on. And, even before we decided to work together. So I think that ultimately is what led me to decide, hands down, it had to be her.
I'm always open to trying something new, and coming out of COVID, it was like really exciting to be offered like in-person places to go with large amounts of people where I could learn and grow, and it was exciting.
And the people who are running it are so lovely. They're so open to teaching, and I think their joy of watching me learn new skills made me even more excited to learn them.
Yeah, it seemed like a wonderful experience for you both. Jake, we got to see a lot of Koroneburg through Janey's eyes, but I'm curious on the filmmaking side of it, was there anything specifically, one of the events that really stood out to you that you were really gravitating towards or having a great time with, just from the film side, like actually filming it?
Yeah, getting to go to those spaces and capture something so unique and on it like unusual is so much fun as a filmmaker. We sent people running around grabbing B-roll of everything because everything is fascinating. Everything is unique, whether you're at a Renaissance fair or you're in the middle of a haunted maze or people are running around with swords and hitting each other. And it was also new and exciting and fascinating. We just couldn't get enough of it. And so I think for me, something that was really, really special to capture as a filmmaker was the LARP Day. And a big part of that was to see Janey resonate with the LARP and see the community kind of embrace her and welcome her in that way. And then just kind of fully open their doors and be like, yeah, come on in. This is what we're like. This is what we do. This is why we love it. And that's a kind of special interaction that you beg for as a filmmaker. And it just showed up.
Who are you?
I am Sagittarial.
The team that you have around you, how did the team come together? Because you have a pretty extensive team on this. You have a co-director, separate editor, post-producer.
I got really lucky. That's probably the easiest answer. No, I had spent a lot of time working on different sets and meeting different people and basically just building the virtual Rolodex of people whose work that I admired and really loved. And I think it all kind of started coming together when I met Connor, our director of photography, and he has an incredible eye. And really, it was the caliber of his work that kind of set the precedent for everything else. In my opinion, this is a beautiful film and it's shot very, very well. And that kind of just elevated everything else. And then we met this incredible composer, Brandon, who I am still so honored and grateful that he decided to work with us on this, because really when the music started to come in, that was when we knew that we had something we really loved.
Yeah, the music really elevates it. I love the slow motion shots that you guys were able to use, especially in the battle scene. So, a question for Jake, how did you go about filming that battle scene? Because I could assume that was kind of just chaos, but organized chaos.
It was exactly as you described, Paul. It was absolute chaos. It was fun. We kind of warned all of the players ahead of time, like, hey, there's going to be 2 cameras in the mix. They're going to kind of be running around. Just try to ignore them, do your best. And they all did a really solid job. There are a lot of outtakes and deleted footage of, just a random sword flying up towards the screen and, oh, sorry. But it was definitely organized chaos. We didn't really choreograph anything. We kind of felt like that would be honestly too much effort and a little too, it would feel fake. And so we kind of just dropped Janey in, and the people who were running the LARP said, all right, we're having a fight now. Go. What you saw is what we got.
All right, so Janey, I just wanted to know, how accepting and like the caring that people of Koroneburg kind of were. I've never seen, I guess, individuals with such passion and care towards others, especially individuals that kind of are outside the realm that you were kind of going into. What surprised you, I guess, the most about Koroneburg and I guess its festivities and like the people and individuals involved in the whole process?
I think I was most surprised by the LARPing community. I didn't realize how much passion and creativity it took to get that game going and make it sustainable through a 3-day weekend. I think I was also very much so surprised by how real the festival feels for the Renaissance Fair. I think it is very much so surprising to see how you can jump into a different time. I've done it on sets before, but I've never experienced that in like a real life setting, it was pretty exciting. And I think all the communities through and through are all really accepting and really wonderful and very open and very vulnerable. And I think having a community of people like that really, it kind of invites you to get a little bit more creative yourself and to be a little bit more vulnerable as well, just to kind of meet them where they're at. And I think that's kind of exciting because especially in adult life, we don't usually have places where we can play and be silly and have fun. And it's nice that there's a place for adults where you can be that way.
Everybody looks amazing. Your costumes are incredible. The best.
I mean, and it was just laid perfectly. And you kind of saw multiple instances. This one's for you, Jake. Kind of what surprised you, because you were kind of working in like, I guess a role, different aspects. So you had to kind of approach it differently than Janey. So what kind of surprised you just through your lens and your view?
What surprised me the most, it was the fact that they were so warm and accepting. I think this was the biggest shock. We came up with this idea and, we had this general concept of, oh, well, Janey's going to go and she's going to see what it's like. And hopefully she has a positive experience and hopefully people aren't too weirded out by us showing up with a camera. And you kind of go in and you hope for the best, you expect the worst. But what really blew me away is just how much people bent over backwards to try and help us out and to tell the story and be like, yes, I will stop what I'm doing at my booth and I'll go and I'll sit down with Janey for an hour and we'll just talk about this amazing place. And yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll schedule a unique event that Janey can attend that feels, authentic, but also allows us to film for the LARP. Yeah, no, we will 100% employ Janey for a night and bring her into the back of the Halloween scare area and dress her up and try to teach her how to do this and then let her out into the space and work as a scarer. I think it was just so surprising to me how much people wanted to show how amazing Koroneburg was.
And Jake, how was this approach to Janey? Did you kind of tell her, we kind of have this plan, or hey, you're going to become a fairy randomly in the middle of the story and you're going to LARP and you're going to do this and you're going to do that? How was it approached to her?
Janey and I worked together on a show, and I knew her as this super cool girl who would also try anything at least once. And I was approached about this project. I was like, I know the perfect person. So when I went to Janey, I basically told her everything that the park had to offer, all the crazy things that she might be doing. And I also said, well, it's kind of a documentary. So, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen to you, but I can guarantee it's going to be a wild ride. And thankfully she said yes. I mean, I think we knew going in that with the LARPing, we were going to have her try to be a character and see what her experience would be like jumping into that. We had no idea that it would resonate with her as much as it did. I think that was really, really special. So yeah, it's something that I've discovered. This is my first documentary, and something that I've discovered is that really you can plan as much as you want, but whatever magic you capture on camera is unpredictable.
Yeah, that authenticity, really matters. Janey, how do these different magical worlds kind of reflect the aspects of, human creativity, curiosity, dabbling in new things? How does that all, I guess, center around Koroneburg?
I think it's nice because each event has a different aspect. So if you like the idea of traveling back in time, but you don't have a time machine, you can go to the Renaissance Fair and you can enjoy, living in Renaissance times with a group of people where you kind of trade and you make things by hand. People are making paper, people are making books. It's really beautiful. And then as far as LARPing goes, that community is more centered around creativity, like on the level of imagination, really just living in your imagination and then everybody's imaginations coming together to create a world. And then I think For the Halloween haunt, there's this really nice aspect of everybody coming together because each year their mazes and things kind of change a little bit depending on how the landscape changes. And I think there's something really nice about playing on fear because a lot of times it's a very joyful or happy experience at Koroneburg. But I think there is this nice change of pace when it comes to like the scary Halloween haunt and the festival in the fall.
That has ruined my life. I am never gonna sleep ever again.
I'm curious, how did you meet David Pulsifer? He is the executive producer of this, but also runs the fair.
Yeah, David and I met a while ago. I showed up to one of the events that was there and found this cool place and met David who runs it. And he actually found out I was a filmmaker. I made a commercial for them back in like 2018, something like that. And we had kept in touch, and it's a really cool place to film at. So I've shot a couple music videos there and helped a couple bigger productions find the space and use it. So David and I basically just kept in contact. And then when the lease renewal crisis came up, David was thinking about the best way to get the word out and reached out to me and asked if I would be willing to try to tell Koroneburg's story and save it or at least record it for posterity. And that was how it all started.
Well, everybody here on our team, we were all wanting to start the hashtag Save Koroneburg. We're curious to know, how's the festival going now? How's the whole situation with the lease?
Yeah, so we have a good update, positive update. The film was shown to some of the community members who are responsible for getting the release renewal through, and the journey's not over, but they have been allowed to run their 2025 season. So yeah, we were worried that it was going to have to shut down in 2 weeks from now, but after they saw that, people reached out and Save Koroneburg kind of happened, and there was a petition and people watched the film. So the journey's not over, but we were able to convince them to allow the park to operate for at least 1 more year.
Yeah, there's a whole subreddit about Save Koroneburg Renaissance Festival. Let's do everything we can across the country to have this wonderful staple just stay in our consciousness. We have one final question. Jake, what have you learned about yourself through the making of this film?
Ooh, that's a great question. Thank you for all the questions, and you can find me on social media if you want. But I would say the thing that I learned about myself while making this project is that I'm very stubborn when it comes to like creative idea. And being a creative, you always run into roadblocks. But this was really a moment where we as a team realized we had something special and we just didn't stop. And I don't think I knew how crazy or committed I could be. Not like confrontational or like, get the shot, et cetera, blah, 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 but just be like to look at the late nights and all that other stuff and be surrounded by people who are just as committed and say, yeah, we're going to do this. That was really special. So I think that's something I learned about myself and is something I'm going to be excited to carry into my next couple projects.